Hola! It is your boy, your goy, B3, back with another great Toku TV review. I just reviewed Redman. I just reviewed Go Godman, so you know who is next. Not just because of that order, but because you read the title of the video before clicking on it. Go Greenman, also known as Ike Greenman in Japan. So this show was made by Toho and Nippon TV for the children's variety show. And you remember because Subaraya did Greenman, and that was replaced with Toho's Godman, and then Godman was followed up by Greenman. Now, nobody thinks that Godman and Greenman are in continuity with Redman, but there is a misconception that Godman and Greenman share a continuity. And I can see why people would think that. They were made by the same people, they have extremely similar titles, extremely similar premises, and they fight pretty much the same exact monsters. But out of what I like to call the variety heroes, the big three variety heroes, the variety hero trio, as I like to call it, Greenman, I think, is actually the best one. I would say Redman is probably the most well-known, but Greenman, I think, is the best made one, you know? I think the Greenman suit looks better than the Godman suit. I don't really like the Godman suit. It's not my favorite. I think the head's cool, but the body seems kind of bland. Greenman's really got it going on. I really like Greenman's look. He fights several cool monsters, and Greenman actually has a plot. You heard that correctly. Redman is random fights. Godman is random fights that sometimes have like a setup, right? And then Greenman has a story. Yeah, it actually has a story. And before I move on, I do want to mention there is a fourth show called Go Kotaro Ushiwaka. You might not know about this. Go Kotaro Ushiwaka that followed up Greenman, but I'm not going to review it. I don't even know where to find it. There are a ton of episodes, over 100, and I'm just not interested. It doesn't look interesting to me, and I can't even find much information on it other than that it exists and an episode count. It seems to be a big mystery, but no one ever talks about it. They only ever talk about Redman, Godman, and Greenman in the Kaiju and Toku community. So I'm going to skip Go Kotaro Ushiwaka. It's not in continuity anyways. Redman, Godman, and Greenman are the big three. The Variety Hero Trio! So let's talk about the plot, because there's an actual plot. So, there's this playground in Japan that every episode is filmed on. Every episode is filmed on the same playground. And then Mao, aka Satan, awakens. And he having like some memory problems, and turns out God banished Satan down to this cave under a children's playground. I always thought Satan went to hell, but I guess it was just a cave under the children's playground. It's so crazy. Like, even the theme song tells children that Satan is coming to get them. Because in order to make himself able to truly manifest again and be free, he has to, like, obtain the blood of human children, which is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. That he has to get the blood of human children. It's insane. So, there he has this really stupid underling called Tonchiki, who's like this little coward bitch, right? And he makes clay dolls that are called Minions of Mao into monsters, and they're all mostly previous Toho monsters and stuff, which is insane. But God sends Greenman to fight all these monsters, and for some reason, God doesn't like Greenman's an android, right? He's like an automaton. He's a robot, but he's sent by the divine force of God. Can't God just strike the monsters down? I don't know. I don't know how God works. So But yeah, Greenman, because at first they fight the clay dolls, and Greenman just like kicks the clay doll's ass. But then Mal was like, "Oh, we got to make him in the kaiju. We got to make him in the kaiju, right?" And then Greenman gives the children something called green calls, which you'll see again in the Godman special when I review it. The Godman special will probably be my next review, by the way. And these green calls can call Greenman when they're in danger, and the green calls can also restore Greenman's power source and heal him and stuff if they're used by the children as well. So the children can directly aid Greenman, which is pretty cool. So now we're going to get to the end of this, right? Mal decides he wants to go to the surface and fight Greenman himself, which it seemed like he couldn't do if he didn't have the blood of children, but it turns out that's not entirely true. So he can teleport to the surface, however, he will not be able to move from the spot he arrives in. He is stuck in that spot. He can't move even an inch to the left or right. He can't move his legs at all, actually. It's really weird. They just want... the writers got to the last episode of the show, and they were like, all right, it's time for Greenman's showdown with Satan. But, Satan hasn't gotten any human blood. How are we going to make them fight? It was pretty weird. So, but in this episode, right, the children had gotten kind of ballsy. They had kind of realized that Tonchiki was a wimp and that the minions of Mao were also wimps, and the children literally beat the shit out of a minion of Mao and Tonchiki, which was so funny. It was so funny. But Mao keeps like teleporting back and forth between the cave and the surface, and Greenman eventually even teleports himself into the cave and destroys it so that they can't return to the cave. So now Mal can't return to the cave, so he's stuck on the surface where he can't move, and Greenman just whoops his ass, blows him up. And the children that Mal was able to like turn to stones, even though he needed their blood, and blood, it doesn't flow through stones. Greenman restored them with his green stick. By the way, he has this weapon called the green stick that also has the ability to heal. Not only did it transform these children, but it also healed his leg in one of my favorite episodes. And I'll tell you about that episode after I finish reviewing this. I just want to talk about that one singular episode because it is my favorite. So he does stop him. But then Greenman just kind of wins. He beats Satan. Tonchiki apologizes and promises not to do evil stuff anymore and just runs away like a wimp. Like, Tonchiki is the biggest bitch in Toku for real. And this show's actually pretty funny. But unlike Redman, which is funny because it's bad, and Godman, which isn't really funny at all, Greenman is intentionally funny. They want you to laugh while watching Greenman. Like, whenever Mao and Tonchiki are talking, it's always a bit, right? It's comedic. It's supposed to be comedic. And Greenman's just a really endearing show, and I do highly recommend you watch it. There was a really good subtitle of the show made. Someone did a really good sub of it, but then they deleted the entire web page that it was on and left a message saying that they didn't think it reflected their skill or who they are anymore. So they deleted all the subs that they had done. So now you can only find some of the episodes subbed, and you have to find the other episodes without subs. So many of these I had to watch in Japanese. Which was fine, because the plot is so simplistic that you could completely understand what was going on, right? In fact, my favorite episode I watched in Japanese with no subtitles, and that episode is episode 40, right? Where he fights Shilarji. I think that's how you pronounce it. Shilarji, who originally appeared as a Godman monster, and then later appeared again in the Godman special. My favorite episode is the one of Shilarji, because it's actually kind of freaky. So episode 40, Greenman versus Shilarji. 41st monster to battle Greenman. So Tonchiki makes this monster himself, and in the Green Man continuity, Shilarji has like a mace thing, and the mace kind of fractures Green Man's leg. It's a really strong mace. As I said earlier, Green Man had to use his green stick to heal himself because it actually did a lot of damage to him. He couldn't really walk for a bit of the fight, and he was kind of getting whooped down. But he did eventually beat the monster. But this is my favorite appearance of Shilarji, which is one of my favorite lesser-known Toku monsters, actually. Because in Godman, he had a pretty basic look, and in the Godman special, he had a pretty basic look. But in Go Green Man, he looks absolutely terrifying. Because he has kind of this silver skull-like face with a horn, and he has like an ape's body. And he was like, in Godman, he was like made out of a baboon that children were taunting or something. But in Green Man, he's like a minion of Mao. But his face is so horrifying in Green Man because it's like deteriorating and his eyes are gone, so it's just black sockets. It's so scary looking. No wonder the children run in fear of this thing in the beginning because it's an absolutely horrifying sight. Go to the Go Green Man Wikipedia page, or I guess the Wikizilla page. Go to freaking Shilarji, Shilarji, and look at the picture of him from his Green Man appearance, right? Because I've been reading like every Wikizilla article recently just to study up for my Toku show that I'm creating, Toku King. Donate in the link in the description below. But Shilarji is really cool. And that's my favorite episode because he's really a threat to Green Man in it seems like. Even though sometimes threats to Green Man aren't really threats. Like there's this one monster that gets an upper hand on Green Man because the monster's at the top of the hill and Green Man wants to cartwheel to the top of the hill, but he can't because it's a hill and he can't cartwheel uphill. So that causes like trouble for Green Man. Just walk up the hill, Green Man. God, and then there's one monster who Green Man is kicking his butt, but then he has like a headphone on, and Tonchiki plays music, and music makes the monster stronger. But then Green Man destroys the headphone, so Tonchiki just starts screaming music into like a big megaphone. It's so funny. It's a funny show. If you can find all the episodes, you won't probably be able to find them all subbed. But you can still find the first and last episode subbed. In fact, the first and last episode are both on YouTube subbed. They are episode 1 and episode 52, both on YouTube subbed. Those are the only ones that you have to see subbed. But, you know, there's more to do. So I'm going to tell you about the cast real quick. I did have to look up the cast. Ryoichi Tanaka as the voice of Mao. Taguchi Tagashi as the voice of Tonchiki. Kimbo Karaman as the voice of... Karinariman as the voice of Tonchiki also. I guess they switched voice actors or something. I never even noticed the voice changed. And Asato Tsuda as the commentary dude. You know, we don't really get any thing other than that. But yeah, Green Man's pretty cool. Has a cool finisher where he shoots all this stuff out of his chest. You know, he's just a cool hero in a fun, short show. And I really enjoyed watching Green Man. I definitely enjoyed it more than Godman, and I definitely enjoyed it more than Green Man. So that is it. Thank you all once again for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. We will be reviewing the Go Forth Godman special next, I believe. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all next time.